I said that I think that in high school groups where unfortunately we know that students are having sex, and that I think that safe sex is always important, safe sex practices are always important, and that is a type of, that's queer sex, so that's not heteronormative sex.
Let me just go back on this. Let me just go back to the start just so you can catch it again.
I thought I saw something, but I wasn't sure.
Book on butt?
On butt plugs. And I said that.
Book on butt plugs.
I think that in high school groups.
How to use a butt plug for newbies. Okay. This is the premise.
In high school groups where unfortunately we know that students are having sex, and that I think that safe sex is always important, safe sex practices are always important, and that is a type of, that's queer sex, so that's not heteronormative sex. And then you called it disgusting. So you told me that the sex that my counterparts have is disgusting, and I don't see how that is not openly homophobic.
The reality is it's not openly homophobic, because that means
to call queer sex disgusting. You don't think that's homophobic?
That means that you think that only homosexual couples use butt plugs.
No, they absolutely don't.
Heterosexual couples use butt plugs as well.
Do you think that just butt plugs are disgusting?
So I'm saying that teaching children, minors, about this is disgusting.
Right. So I guess that comes into a abstinence-only education versus safe sex education.
It's not abstinence only. It's not safe sex. At the end of the day, a butt plug is not going to create a child. It's not going to have an issue on a person that relates to catching an STD unless the actual butt plug is not properly sanitized.
Exactly, and I think that's what that book was detailing, is how to safely use those instruments.
Educate children on how to use butt plugs. Children, if you're an adult and that is what you want to do, if that's what stimulates you and gets you off, have at it.
6 times.
Are you a parent?
I'm not a parent.
Oh, so you're not a parent. Okay. And you are a parent.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What the hell is even that?
And so, as a father, 2 boys and a girl, I don't want anyone teaching my child how to use sex toys of any kind. That is.
What the fuck was that on the side over there?
He says, I've got one in right now.
If you got to have a book to explain, yeah, Alchemy's right. If you got to have a book to explain how that works, you got bigger problems.
Yes. They don't need to be teaching kids. And what the fuck are that's a straight tranny, and I don't know what to call that one. That the one that was on camera, but yes, they're teaching children how to use butt plugs. Okay, so a lot of them are gonna joke about it, laugh about it, but some are gonna be like, "What is this butt plugs they speak of?" Maybe it seems like they're okay with us going out and getting some, and what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just they shouldn't. That's the thing. Parents do not have control over what the school teaches their children anymore. They don't. Which is why a lot of people homeschool their children. And yes, it's retarded, Alchemy, that they had to explain that to that person.
20 years ago, those people, 2 weirdos showing up at your school going, "We're going to teach your kids how to use butt plugs," they would have been arrested. And then the parents would have hunted their asses down and beat them.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong, Warren, because that's the parent's job. Each parent has to decide if their child is old enough to know what that's all about. They don't need the government telling them.
The thing is when I was young, I had kids at a very young age. I wasn't ignorant about all sex stuff, not in the least. Still had unprotected sex and had children at a young age because I lived reckless. I lived like every day was my last because I was still essentially a child. When you're advertising it to kids in school, it's almost like giving them your consent, and they will do it openly, and they will do it without hesitation.
Yeah.
It's not just a matter of education. You can know full well everything about it and still do everything wrong. No,
Yeah,
I don't mean
true.
like stick it in the ear. That's not what I'm referring to. Although there's probably some dumb fuckers out there that would.
That
If
is
schools are
very
going to teach anything, teach the consequences of bad choices. Yeah, that sounds like a good way to go. It does.
Mm-hmm. But I think the nation as a whole has went off on the deep end when they now that they've started. Um, I don't know if I can say this on YouTube or not, but once they started trying to groom children, the nation's fucked. And that's just it. That's why a lot of people homeschool their children, is because they don't want to put up with the bullshit.